we do the conga? Yeah. It's very tight. Is there any more room up there?
Okay, now Paul's doing things.
You can put your butt on me. That's your painful. All the way is long. No, like this.
I've never had a
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Anna.
Can I take Joy to our house?
Wear a hat, please. You're just getting over a cold.
Where are your sisters?
I can't find them.
Anna? Joy?
I checked the entire house. They're not here.
They weren't outside. It's starting to rain, I think. Dad, there was this RV, and they were playing on it. We thought there was someone inside.
You wait here. Let me go.
I couldn't find them!
911.
Detective Loki.
Do you have children, Detective?
I'm gonna find your daughters.
Caller reported an RV was parked at a rest stop off Route 46.
Show me your hands! Where'd you put those girls? Where are they?
What do you got?
We didn't find anything. This thing's clean.
That boy has never been in trouble a day in his life.
They're letting him go.
What?
The police said they're letting him go today.
Why aren't you sending someone out to go arrest this guy?
Well, he has the IQ of a 10-year-old. There's no way he could abduct 2 girls and then make them disappear.
Maybe he wasn't on his own.
We're considering all possibilities.
I don't think you are considering all possibilities.
Just let me do my job.
4 days have passed since Anna Dover and Joy Birch were last seen by their families.
I have 9 level 3 offenders living within a 10-mile radius.
Keep knocking on doors.
Mind if I take a look around? Why don't you tell me his name?
He said he took them.
Did he say he was with anybody?
We found something.
Every day she's wondering why I'm not there. Me, not you. Not you. But me!
What in the world did you do? Someone has to make him talk, or they're gonna die. 5 days we got now. We're running out of time.
You don't even know that it's him.
You have to know someone, and he knows where this guy is. Why aren't you telling me?
This ain't right.
Why?
This guy's a fake. The girls are still out there.
It's now my great pleasure to welcome the cast of the film Looper,
Argo. Spring Breakers.
Cloud Atlas,
Hotel Transylvania.
Silver Linings Playbook.
It just feels like a real film festival for the community.
It's very exciting for me to be here to support a film.
I wanted to show Toronto the way I experience it.
We want people to like our movies and understand them.
What makes it really special for me is the fact that the audiences have responded the way they have.
If I got lucky in the first 2, this was the lottery.
I feel like I hit the jackpot. I mean, I can't believe that I'm sitting at a table, flanked by these people.
Every producer I've ever worked with is in that character. And a couple I invented.
You have to be faithful to what they really were.
But I certainly wouldn't, deign to think that we are godfathering anything. I do. And that's why he's got the beard.
First nice thing the press have ever done.
I was really happy to find out this is where we were coming.
I said, I'm in.
The festival of the people who live here.
That was amazing.
Our moderator for this session is Richard Krause, and it is now my pleasure to welcome the director, screenwriter, producer, composer, and cast for Prisoners. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. While you're taking a couple of pictures and everyone's getting seated, all right. I'm going to introduce everyone. Johan Johansson has scored 28 shorts, documentaries, and features, including Prisoners and the upcoming Mechanic, starring Corey Monteith. Kira Davis has produced many films, including Racing Stripes, Chasing Liberty, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, Parts 1 and 2. Terrence Howard is an Oscar nominee for his work in Hustle and Flow and the star of dozens of films, including the TIFF hits Crash and On the Road, and the current box office smash, The Butler. Maria Bello plays grieving mother Grace Dover in Prisoners and has starred in The Company Men, Grown Ups Parts 1 and 2, and the TIFF favorites Thank You for Smoking and A History of Violence. Denis Villeneuve's film Incendies was nominated for Best Foreign Language Film at the Oscars. His films Maelstrom and Polytechnique were critically praised, and he has 2 films at TIFF this year, Enemies, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, and Prisoners. Hugh Jackman has not only been nominated for an Academy Award, he's also hosted the show. The star of Les Mis, the X-Men series, the Wolverine movies, and many more, plays vigilante dad Keller Dover in Prisoners. Last year, Jake Gyllenhaal was at TIFF with End of Watch. He's also the star of Brothers, Zodiac, TIFF favorite Brokeback Mountain, and many more. He plays Detective Loki in Prisoners. Melissa Leo won an Oscar for her work in The Fighter and has appeared in more than 100 movies and television series. Her work in films like Everybody's Fine, Red State, and Frozen River have been critically lauded. In Prisoners, she plays Holly Jones. BAFTA nominee Paul Dano has a diverse body of work that includes There Will Be Blood, Taking Woodstock, Where the Wild Things Are, Being Flynn, Ruby Sparks, and one of TIFF's breakouts from last year, Looper. And Prisoners writer Aaron Guzikowski also penned the Mark Wahlberg movie Contraband. Please help me welcome everyone. Denny, I'll start with you before throwing over to the collected press. Tell me a little bit about bringing such a dark story to the screen, keeping it compelling at every step along the way.
The thing is, honestly, I just had to follow the screenplay because the thriller elements and the dramatic structure, the way Aaron was able to create that tension all across the story was it was all in the screenplay. I just had to follow the screenplay. My job as a director was more to take care of each character and try to dig into them and to their intimacy and to give each character a chance to be brought to life. That's it. It's like the thriller elements. It's all Aaron's fault.
I know we have a lot of people on the panel, and we have lots of questions here. So I'm going to begin asking right here. Bruce gets the first question because he's closest to him.
Good morning. Bruce Kirkland from the Toronto Sun Media in Canada. And the question, starting with Denis, but anyone else who wants to pick it up. And if you just glance at the plot, it sounds like a Hollywood thriller that we've seen 1,000 times. You study the film and you scare the hell out of me, Denis. But there's so much more. There's layers upon layers, and it's a moral tale that's really complicated. So I'd be fascinated for you to describe how not to make a genre movie, but to make a very sophisticated human thriller.
Yeah, that's what attracted me from the start to this screenplay. That it's not we saw a lot of thrillers, but what Aaron was able to build, which is this idea of having to see the whole spectrum of human reaction towards violence and torture, the way they depict it, and that's why I fell in love with this story. It was about the what it was meaning, the depiction of this world. I mean. Maybe I didn't took enough coffee this morning.
I can help. I think I can say a little bit. Just having worked with Denis on 2 movies and 2 movies in a row is his sort of desperate love of themes, and trying to find all the sinews that connect to a number of themes that have inspired him when he's read a script or when he's interested in a character. He always wants to add on to those things, and I think that's why all of us are sitting here, is because when we probably had our initial meetings with him about the project, we as actors always have a lot of ideas. I would speak for myself, usually mostly not very good. And he's always encouraging of them because he's looking for those tiny little things that he can attach to the main ideas that he he wants to tell the audience. And so as a result, what you have is this incredible crew that's picking those things up and bringing their own many different ideas to those themes that he's expressed to everybody. And then he's also, I think, really inspired by other people's ideas and takes them on, and they're all in there. So he's never, ever rejecting an idea, at least without listening to it intensely and seeing if it fits into his main plan. And that's what I witnessed in working with him in 2 movies is that, and I think that's what you see as an audience, is just many, many layers and many ideas, that some of which he's loved and some of which he's not, but he's put them all, as many as he can fit, into this one story.
I might add to that. I know you're going to hate this, sorry, Richard, but Bruce, it's a great question, and I'm just going to take it back a year or two before, and I want to give props to Kira Davis, the producer down the end here, and everyone at Alcon and Warner Brothers, because the script came towards me probably a year before Denis came on board, and I loved Aaron's script, and Kira loved Aaron's script. And it was a kind of script that could have got made like that. It could have become a more generic thriller, as you say. It could have veered that way. And Kira was like, we've got to find the right director. And it was a year later when Kira came to me and said, you've got to watch this movie, Incendie, which embarrassingly I hadn't seen, and you've got to meet Denis. And bang, that was it. Because in the DNA of Aaron's script was a more ambitious thriller. Not just one that grips you, that keeps you on the edge of your seat, that you leave going, oh, I was scared, that was great, but one that actually makes you contemplate and think for days after, on many levels, I think. And so hats off to Kira and Alcon for having the courage to make a more ambitious thriller, and thank goodness they introduced us to this man.
And we've got, okay, I'll go right.
Sébastien Diaz from Télé-Québec. My question is for Denis, and it's in French, en français. Denis, t'as les 2 pieds dans la machine américaine, t'es en grosse conférence de presse, t'es entouré de stars américaines. Qu'est-ce qui reste de l'essence de Denis Villeneuve dans tout ça? Comment tu fais pour pas perdre ton âme? What's left of Denis?
Don't say bad things about Jake. Jake's a great guy. All right? Don't say that. I'm going to stick up for you, man. That's terrible.
Yeah, the question is, what's left of Denis' indie spirit in this big Hollywood production?
No. So I answer in which language? No, okay. Non, mais sérieusement, j'ai été chanceux parce que je m'attendais. Hollywood, c'est un endroit où tu peux te faire. Il y a beaucoup d'histoires qu'on a entendues, que j'avais entendues, où tu peux te faire écraser comme réalisateur. Mais j'ai été protégé par Alcon puis par ces gens-là qui sont autour de la table ici. Je travaille avec des artistes. C'est ça, qui n'avaient pas de problème d'ego. Not all of them, I think. No.
I would like...
I said nice thing about you guys, by the way.
Yeah, Fabian Weintal for Latin America. I have a question for Hugh. You were presented, you hosted the Oscars. You also were nominated last year. So how important is for you the Oscar? And would it be a dream to finally win it? And if Jake and Terrence could add to that too.
My theory of this entire business, and actually in life, is expect nothing and everything's a surprise. I kind of hoped to be able to pay my rent as an actor. I thought that was about as far as my goals went. When they asked me to host the Oscars, I honestly thought they were on drugs, and I was really honoured. I'm a kid who grew up in Australia. I used to get, my father was an accountant for Price Waterhouse. Do you remember the Oscars? They used to bring out the 3 accountants. We used to stand up on our couch and cheer when the accountants came out with their briefcases. That was a big moment for us. And I remember saying to my dad, one day, Dad, you're going to be there, right? So the idea that one day they would ask me to host it was phenomenal. I was backstage taking pictures, man, you know. And by the way, I called out my dad, who was in the audience that night at the Oscars, and I told this story during a commercial break to the audience, and I look out at my dad. He wasn't paying attention at all, because Sophia Loren was sitting next to me. What? Oh, hey. So anyway, I'm just thrilled that people are seeing the ambition of this movie, and a movie that is timely and is important, and really, this is what we make it for. We make stories for audiences, and we make stories and films so we can connect and have something collectively to talk about, to think about. And this movie is gripping, as Bruce says, but it's more than that, and that's more than enough.
Well, I'd just like to say that if you're asking me if I think that Hugh Jackman deserves an Oscar, the answer to that question is absolutely yes. Yeah, that's it.
I'll support that, and because I was next to him in a lot of those scenes where he's sitting there. He's a strong man, you know, and I'm a big guy. I feel I can handle myself with most people, but standing in that bathroom with him and his strength of courage and seeing that come past who you see as a sweet man, you know that you're not witnessing a man acting, you're witnessing a man channeling all of this frustration. So yeah, he deserves an Oscar, I believe in my whole heart. The whole idea of Oscar push, the best things about the Oscar idea, me and Jake and Maria, we all met during the 2006 Oscar campaigns. So when it allows a lot of great actors to come together and rekindle friendships, you know, because whoever wins at the end of the year is really winning for the entire collective of all the people that's worked towards showing great work.
Paul, I want to go to you now. Terrence had mentioned the scenes in the restroom, in the torture chamber, I guess. Tell me a little bit about shooting those scenes with Terrence and Hugh.
Well, first, Denis and I had talked, I think, at great length about those scenes, and there's many of them, and sort of figuring out the dynamic of each, and each time coming back to the cell. Where is this mysterious character now? Where are they in the story? It's a small room. How do we sort of keep the drama flowing? You know, what is this character experiencing? What are the phases of being scared or shut down or this or that? And making sure that we were mining that stuff for all it was worth and not just for the scare of it. And then, you know, my scene partners are both lovely people and really good actors, and I think and with Denis there for us, I think the safety of trusting them allows the scenes to be more dangerous, so we can just kind of go in there and leave it out on the floor. So I don't really remember more than that as sort of a fever dream feeling. You know, it was small and hot and bloody, and yeah.
We'll go right here.
Kerry Roberts from the Next Take on Super Channel. My question's for Jake. Jake, you've come to this festival quite a number of years, including last year with End of Watch. How important is a festival like this to promote your title, especially in such a crowded marketplace that comes up in the fall?
Well, first of all, I had never made a movie here before. I've always been in Toronto promoting movie or being here for the festival. And Denis and I made An Enemy, and the other movie that we did together here. And I just noticed that Toronto itself as a city is so artistically inclined, and there's a desperation to try to bring out the arts and the creative mind, and it's all over in the architecture, in performance spaces, all over really. And I was inspired by that, and we were both when we were making that film. And it was a side of Toronto that I hadn't really seen, only because there's such a dense time during the year that this festival is going, you know, it's all movies, and there's so many other art forms going on throughout the year. But it's a wonderful place because I think it not only is it the place, but it's also the time. I think it's the beginning of so many wonderful movies coming out, and it's a real stepping point for filmmakers of all different kinds with all different types of minds to come. And I think Toronto embraces that and loves that, and the enthusiasm, particularly the Canadian enthusiasm for that, is a very particular type of enthusiasm that I think is wonderful for people who've put themselves out and made themselves vulnerable in whatever they do, to know that no matter what happens, they're going to be supported. I mean, every single premiere that I've been to here is always full of this wonderful positivity, and I love coming back because I know, you know, regardless of the film or the response to the film that you're in, there will always be a love of the fact that you did something creative and that everybody's excited about it. I think that's the spirit here.
Yeah, this is the first time he is saying nice things about Canada.
I also just get excited to be nearer and nearer to maple syrup. That's basically.
this question is for Jake. How does a movie like this make you feel about starting a family of your own?
He's not ready.
That is a loaded question if I ever heard one.
I'll babysit them.
Great. Oh, God. I am, for the first time in my entire career, I am completely blank. I think that, to me, I have a family that I love deeply already. And I have children in that family that I care about with everything that I have. And so to even think about it, they were a huge inspiration to me in playing this role, and the motivation and the drive. And it's beautiful to listen to all of the people who do have families in this cast and in this crew. And even to hear the press who talk about it, who've seen the movie, or the people who have, and see how they've responded to it. It's a very hard film to watch in many ways, but at the same time, I think it's also this family here. You can see all these people, particularly at Alcon. It's interesting to me that the movies they've made are very family-oriented. Many of them have been, and that's very important to all of them. And they have an emphasis now. They were desperate to make this movie, but they made an actual family on set. And we all feel that way. And there's a spirit of making this movie, the process of making this movie, that felt like a real family, even with the dire subject matter. So, if anything, it does nothing but inspire me off camera, really, more so than on camera in this situation. But everybody here and their families are inspiring.
Hi, Barbara Dudinska, Slovak News Agency. This question is for Maria and Hugh. You have kids, your own kids. How hard was it to make a movie with a theme like that when you know that these things actually really happen in real life?
Firstly, I want to say it was very difficult for me doing this role with Hugh, playing his wife, and never being able to touch his lips, to feel his face, his abs, his something, because we'll never get cast as husband and wife again, and I will never get my lips on Hugh Jackman.
What about the sequel?
This is an issue.
What about the sequel?
Yeah, really. Prisoners 2, the
Visitation,
romance.
yeah, in prison.
Conjugal visits.
No, that's serious. I was going to say in all seriousness, but that is serious. But in all seriousness, we talked about that quite a lot. Our children.
About kissing?
About kissing a lot. We have kids the same age, and I couldn't even use my 12-and-a-half-year-old boy in my body while I was acting. I could not think about him this much, or I would be on my knees and not be able to act, to be honest. It's that depth of pain. I can't imagine what the families who are going through this really go through on every day, and my heart goes out to them, and to be able to portray that sort of grief, I found it to be quite a gift and an honor to those people in the world who have lost their kids.
Yeah, that's a good point. I want to pick up on that, Maria, because it's in the research that we did. As an actor, you do everything you can to convince yourself to pretend to be someone else and dive into their shoes and their experience and to bring that to life. And of course, part of the research was looking into really what happens in this situation. So you can get information. What happens day one, day two? Do you print flyers? How do you react? What happens emotionally and mentally? And as I dived into reading these stories, watching a video of families, and let's not mistake, this is happening right now. It's happened, and there are many, many people who've gone through this, who are going through this, and I left not so much with information about how to play the role, but I left with a weight of the responsibility that all of us had to treat this subject seriously, to treat it with respect, to know that people are going through this, and to not just sort of glorify it in any way or just to titillate an audience, but to actually make them think about the realities of this. This touches on really elemental fears that we all collectively have. And that's why the film, I think, is cathartic to film and cathartic to watch. There's a reason why we don't just go and see comedies. Every night we go to somehow as humans we also need to touch on the real elemental fears that we push down every day of our lives, and collectively kind of delve into it and discuss it and think about it and feel. So this film, as Maria said, there is a responsibility, and hopefully we did them justice. And I know with Denis we did.
Aaron, I want to throw to you. Backstage, you were described to me as one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. So I would like to know where this story came from.
Where the story came from, I wanted to, the two things that scare me the most are losing things and being lost. So those were, I love thrillers, but I also love characterization and creating, people who seem real and really trying to get into their heads and trying to just make decisions, what would I do? What would different parts of me do, and that's kind of where it came out of. And you just kind of keep building and building, and eventually this thing kind of takes on a life of its own, and it was just amazing just to when Denis came aboard, and obviously the cast is incredible, so I just couldn't be happier with how it all turned out. So it was great.
We'll go to the back here. Go ahead.
Hi there, I'm Chad Dunleavy from the Montreal Gazette. This is a big film for Denis in terms of Montreal and Quebec. He's stepping out, making like a big American film, and it's a very different kind of thriller. It's a question kind of to all the actors, just how it was working with Denis, and if he brought something different to the project from things that you're used to, because obviously he's a French language director from Quebec, from a different kind of environment, and the film itself is a different take on the thriller formula. So how was it different working with Denis?
Yeah, everybody will answer but Jake, okay?
I know, before Jake starts making fun of Denis, before he starts throwing his stuff out, I would like to say, and the whole cast will say, and I really mean this from the bottom of my heart, Denis Villeneuve will be known as a master filmmaker for many, many years to come. And it's been my privilege and all of our privilege to do this movie with you. So thank you very much. Thank you.
I just like to say that thank God he has movies to make and communicate with, because I hardly understand what he's saying in English.
What would you add to this conversation?
C'est un bebê, je vais bebês, and eu sabia de bebê, je sais de bebê, c'est le d'autre bebê, je sais de bebê, et j'entends peur.
Would you like to translate that for us?
Oh, I think the people who needed to understand understood.
I mean, as an actor, I'm probably on the side of Jake, because I like to make fun of Denis, because he touches that tickly part of you, the part of you as an actor that you normally don't allow directors into. You don't allow them to see the vulnerable side of you. You don't allow them to really challenge your audacity. And he comes with such a sensitivity and a truth in his eyes that every actor, when you go to set, you may have an idea of what you want to play, but oftentimes that idea has been played before, not by you, but by somebody else in your mind. And no conqueror or fighter really wants a battle that he can win. You really want a battle where you can almost lose. And every day, Denis actually challenged us. I had a billion ideas that I thought were really brilliant ideas. But I'm so glad that he didn't use any of them at the end of the day, because last night I watched the film for the very first time, and I didn't see me. I didn't see Terrence Howard there. I saw Franklin Birch, and I felt like an actor was born under Denis' hands, and I think everyone here feels the same way. You really create characters, and you're a great tutor for every actor along the road to becoming a great craftsman.
That's a nice press conference, huh?
I want to. I'd like to add too. I mean, it's no accident that this wonderful cast is here, and that the script was around for 3 years before
Denis came on board, and now Denis came on board, and we have just an amazing embarrassment of riches. And I think it was really, as Hugh said in the beginning, this could have been a different kind of a movie. And Denis reassured his actors that it wasn't going to be that kind of movie. It was going to be a hybrid, a marriage of independent meets commercial, not just commercial.
And Johan, let's talk a little bit about your work with Denis as well. What did he ask you for something specific, or did you come to him and say, "This is what I'd like to do"?
Well, I think Denis, chose me over many, much better known and probably more accomplished composers for a reason, and I think that he heard in my music something that he wanted for the film, and I gave him some like a playlist of things that I felt were right for the film, based on reading the script and based on like a short Skype conversation, and then we sort of went from there basically, and sort of built upon that, built upon some.
Was the playlist your music, or was it
my music?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And but it was a very we had a very kind of specific goal in mind from the beginning, I think, and it was a very pleasant and very strong process, I think, to arrive to that to that end.
Excellent. I'll turn it back over to you. Yep, go ahead. Right here.
Hi, Heather Seaman, Rogers TV. This is for everyone on the panel. TIFF is a great indicator of potential Oscar contenders. So I'm wondering, there's so much buzz behind this film. I'm wondering how you feel, ahead of award season, if anyone is, ahead of the Oscars. Again, there's a lot of buzz surrounding this film.
I'd say we've already won, so for me, I can't think about that. We've already won. The experience has been spectacular. We all love each other. It's been so creative and so terrific. To go into that place is kind of pointless.
No, the thing is, me as a filmmaker a long time ago, in order to keep mental sanity, I decided that what I love about cinema is filmmaking. Well, once the movie is finished, I lose control over the film festival. I don't make movies for film festival awards. I love film festivals, and I think they are very important. And awards are nice compliments, but it's something that is out there. I would love for them. I love my cast so much, but now it looks like cheesy because they said a lot of nice things. But I hate them.
I was really privileged last year at the Oscars nominees luncheon. It was the AFI luncheon. Norman Jewison was asked to make a speech, and I will never forget it. And Norman is around 90 years old, and he got up, he told his age, he said, I'm 90, I've been to the Oscars, I've won them, I've lost them. And he said, none of you are going to believe me right now, but I can tell you as a 90-year-old guy, none of this matters whether you win or lose, because you don't remember that. He says, where I'm standing now, I don't think, that one, I won for that one. All I think about is the movies that have moved people, that mean something to people, that they're the ones that stay in your head. When you make a courageous movie, which I think Alcon, Warner Brothers, Kira, Denis have done, they've tried to push the boundaries of the genre. And I think all of us, when I look at the panel and the performances and the pure raw heart that all the actors put into it, in that way, I think in Norman Jewison's view, we've probably, as Kira's saying, we've done something that we're all proud of, and that's hopefully what we'll remember.
Tanya Lapointe de Radio-Canada. My question will be in English about how Denis Villeneuve makes us squirm in our seats. Denis, la réaction du public hier passait du rire à la terreur, et je me suis demandé d'aborder un sujet aussi sérieux et de le faire subir au public. Pourquoi c'est important? Parce que ça a été aussi la même chose avec Polytechnique et avec Incendie.
Est-ce que tu veux que je réponde en français? OK. C'est malheureusement l'inspiration. J'aimerais vraiment ça, faire une comédie. J'aimerais vraiment ça, être inspiré par quelque chose, mais je suis, encore une fois, je lis des scénarios présentement, puis je pense que Le cinéma, ça permet d'explorer, comme disait Hugh tout à l'heure, nos peurs, nos craintes, nos angoisses. Puis c'est un véhicule qui permet de les exorciser. Et je suis présentement peut-être dans une période de ma vie où je suis plus angoissé qu'autre chose. Alors ça, je sais pas, c'est des sujets qui m'attirent profondément, malheureusement. J'ai hâte de faire une comédie musicale, ouais.
Maria, do you watch his lips when he talks in French like I do?
You know I do.
Other questions? We just have time for a few more questions. Go ahead. You know, yeah.
Unfortunately, I have not seen the film. I'm Linda Carter from G98.7. But I just wanted to know, I have a very good idea of the subject matter. At what age would you allow your children to see this film?
My son
I
said...
can speak for all of you if you want.
When my son said the other day, Mom, is this a film? Can I see? Can I go to the premiere? And I said, no, you can't. You're not old enough at the subject matter. He goes, Mom, I'm going to see it on Netflix in 6 months. And he's 12 years old, so there you go.
Yeah. In all truth, it really isn't a film for kids under 18. It's too serious and it's too intense. And I think, depending on the parent, for me, for a lot of us who've talked about it, it's just not appropriate for young people at this kind of level.
I think it's an adult movie. My kids saw it, but they were part of the film process. They went on set, they went on editing room, spent weeks in the editing room. They went on soundstage, so they know it's filmmaking. It's not real for them. But so that's why they were at the premiere last night. Otherwise, they would have stayed at home. Yeah.
My son is 26 years old, and he will come to the Los Angeles premiere next week.
I still don't think that Paul Dano should be allowed to see this movie.
I'm personally, I don't think that anyone under 18 should see it for the most part because of the strangeness of the subject matter. But I think every parent and every family member that sees it should sit down and have a discussion with their children afterwards as to how they can avoid falling into the circumstance, the need for discipline, the need for children to really respect what the parents are saying, and these are the reasons why you need to respect what your parents are saying. And then listening to that little piece of God that whispers in us and tells us when something is about to go wrong. Because not one person in here has ever experienced any moment that went bad when they didn't know that it was going to go bad. But it's learning to listen to that little person, and hopefully this film and what Alcon has done and Warner Brothers has done has presented something that could turn the tide of kidnapping. It could turn the tide of mistakes that happen within the family if we take it into serious conversation and respectful conversation with our children.
Yeah, right here. Go ahead.
Hi, Cassandra Sklarski, the Canadian Press. This is for Denis. I was just wondering, you might have answered this in French, I'm not sure, but what was the attraction to working on a big budget US film? You could easily have a very successful career just staying in Quebec and working in Canada. What in particular drew you to something like this on a much bigger scale, much bigger audience?
You would like me to answer in French?
No,
English.
English.
Okay, in English. Okay. No, it's just that I was really the main reason to try to make one movie in America was to be in contact with artists that I admire. To spend 3 months in the editing room of Joel Cox, who is the Clint Eastwood editor, working with Clint Eastwood for 40 years. It means that man has a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, a lot of skills, so it's for me, it's working in America, in Hollywood, it was like going to film school. It was just to have to be in contact with great actors, great cinematographers, great editors, it's just to work with people that are part of film history, and that had the knowledge that I didn't have. I just learned so much making this movie. So for me, I didn't know as I was doing it will be my only American movie. This is a tough world. You never know what would be next. But I was keeping things to myself just to have the chance to do it once and to be in contact with those fantastic artist, was the biggest prize. It was the biggest compliment I ever received, to have the chance to work with those guys. So basically that's it.
Huey, the character, the vigilante nature of the character is bound to divide people. What would you say to people who fall down on one side or the other, that either Keller went beyond the pale in trying to get his daughter back, and others who said that he didn't do enough?
I can't make up the minds of audiences, and I'm thrilled that Denis and Aaron wrote a script that actually forces that moral ambiguity. I think the film I think its power exists in that. And I can just tell you a little story of watching the film for the first time with my wife, who was holding my hand, and I literally had nail-like markings in my hand as she was gripped, and then there was a certain part with the scenes with Paul where she just removed her hand from mine, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm not sleeping in the marital bed tonight or something. It is uncomfortable, and that's what I like about it. It almost subverts the genre. You think, oh, okay, we're going down this path with this guy, and let's enact some rightful justice here, and all of a sudden you feel uncomfortable, and then what that forces you to do is to question why you just, if you went along with him, why you just so easily go along with that way of thinking, and then it questions, what would you do in that situation? What would I do? That's where the film's power lies. That's where I think Denis really comes alive in himself, if I can speak for him. That those grey areas is where he's so brilliant, and that's where the film, I think, transcends, as Bruce was saying, the genre.
But as an actor, Hugh, I have to say, because of your character's conviction, your strength of just going for it and never faltering, that's what makes the movie work as well. It's how you do it and how you portray that, because that is a tough thing that you did. So, really great work.
That's all our time. Thank you to everyone on the panel: Johan, Kira, Terrence, Maria, Denis, Hugh, Jake, Melissa, Paul, and Aaron, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you, guys. So I hold you all the drinks.
Yes.
Yeah. Drinks, Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.